Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch the Track podcast presented by the Dude and Grim Show and co-produced by Mr. IVEST. I am the Dude.
And I am Grim. And today, shit's getting a little icky. We're going to talk about Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones.
We're not talking about like sticky fingers when you used to scrape like resin from your bowl. Not sticky like that.
Or even rolling up a fresh J.
No.
Nothing like that.
No, not that we know anything about that. So, anyways, Grim. Now, this is the 9th British studio album and the 11th American studio album.
Which, dude, I'm so glad of...
Maybe I shouldn't say studio, but album.
Well, yeah, but, you know... One thing I will say that I'm happy about in the digital age of music is there isn't all this bullshit like there's a UK release and a US release and a this and a that. Like albums just come out and they are what they are.
There is that.
Although I do think the US version of the Beatles' Rubber Soul is better because I've just seen a Faces track one.
Exactly. So, now, dude, I thought it was interesting. This is the first album post Alan Klein. They finally got out from underneath that POS,
what
right?
A
like
dirty butthole.
I mean, for those people who don't know the full story, we won't go into it. But essentially, he was not a very good business manager.
Well, he was for his own sake.
For the Rolling Stones, he wasn't a very good business manager.
He's great for himself.
And still basically swindled them out of all their 1960s, basically music that they created. All the US, I guess, would be considered the US versions or tracks.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I understand it. It does get a little confusing. And they were in litigation and lawsuits for years.
Into the 90s, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, they ended up losing when they tried to sue him. But then in 1984, they did make a settlement. Now, I don't know what that settlement is, but that, can be discussed on a whole nother, maybe its own episode. I don't know.
I feel like they should have had him killed. That's just, I maybe call that a gut reaction, but I mean, dude, that they knew some pretty sketchy folks.
Yeah. I mean, there's conspiracies about Brian Jones and how he died. I don't think the Stones had anything to do with that, but
I don't either. But I mean, the thing is, whether it was in his pool or it was going to be in 2 weeks, he was on a path of self-destruction for a long time, dude.
He was, and Alan Klein did pass away in 2009. So I don't know what that, if that affects his estate, because technically the company he was with. The company he owned, and what they're saying is ABKCO.
Abco.
They pretty much, I'm sure, have the rights to, all these songs. So anyways, enough with that, Grim. So first album without Alan Klein, also the first album without Brian Jones.
That's interesting.
Kind of trippy. Second full-length album, I guess, with Mick Taylor, because they were saying, I guess they released a live album and he played on that.
Yeah,
so,
but the first real album. I just for some reason, I'm sorry. Live albums are great. They just don't call it like an album in the same way as studio. It just isn't.
Yeah.
And actually, Get Your Yayas out's an awesome album. Like it's really good.
Yeah, it is. Now I could call it maybe somewhat of an album if it was played, 1, live, and 2, the songs had never been recorded or played before. Kind of like the Beatles' Let It Be a little bit,
Yeah.
With some of that. I could give a pass. How about that? I could give a pass.
Give a pass.
Anyways, so Grim, where do you rank this in your Rolling Stones sort of discography of favorites, man? How do you... It's not your favorite. Do we start there?
No, it isn't, but it's up there. Let's see. Are we... Typically, you and I have resorted to discussing things for the Rolling Stones. What is it, like the big 5?
Yeah, it's
Tiger's Banquet.
Let It Bleed.
Let It Bleed.
Sticky.
Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street.
Tattoo You.
Yeah.
And we in the past we have left out Goat's Head Soup.
Yeah, because dude, I'm as a whole, like I leave out some girls too, because as a whole, I just don't, I can't put those in the same category.
Yeah,
I'd probably put this like fourth.
Okay.
Dude,
so
maybe third or it kind of fluctuates between third and fourth. I mean, Exile to me it's kind of hard to beat. Exile on Main Street. That's
tough.
That's just such a solid piece of work, and I kind of go back and forth between like Beggar's Banquet, Let It Bleed a lot. This one,
yeah, it's hard for me because I might put this one first. I think for me, it's between this and Exile. These are the two that I end up now. These are the two that I listen to the most. Is Sticky Fingers and Exile over the other ones.
Man, also, Let It Bleed's a hard one for me.
Once we get into the tracks, I don't want to spoil anything yet, but this actually does have my favorite Rolling Stones song on it. So,
I think we can. Can I guess?
Okay. Yeah, you probably know. I mean, that's fine,
dude. Can't you hear me knocking?
Hear me knocking.
Shit, dude, it's easily the best song on the album.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's
after people go ahead and do us the solid of liking, commenting below, please tell us what your favorite song is, what you would scratch on the album, and why. I can't imagine you would scratch "Can't You Hear Me Knocking." If you do, I'm going to urge you to seek urgent and very intensive psychiatric care. No offense, you're just wrong. I don't know how to say that otherwise. Like I realize that everyone has their opinion, but you're just wrong.
Yeah.
So
there's that.
There's
that.
Now, dude, the cover is a couple things.
Yeah.
The cover, there was a lot of stuff about the artwork that I found interesting. Dude, recording a chunk of it in Muscle Shoals. At the original Muscle Shoals sound, which I think is cool. It sounds like they just went there because they wanted to see this place that like so much of their favorite music came from. Mm-hmm. And they were kind of like, well, we're here. I mean, we might as well just, go ahead and record some.
Like, subscribe, and comment below.
Yeah. We might as well just go ahead and record Wild Horses, Brown Sugar, and, you got to move. Just, couple of classics in the catalog. Just throw them down quick.
Now, Grim, you remember a little documentary called "Gimme Shelter"?
I was gonna get into that, where you actually see them in Muscle Shoals, and they're listening to playback, and Keith is so out of it, where like he's kind of tapping his foot to the rhythm
with his like gator or snakeskin boots or whatever they are. First of all, if you haven't seen that documentary, Gimme Shelter, it is absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend it. But also, I have that on like Criterion Collection did a DVD of it. And so it's even out on Blu-ray and stuff now too. But they do have some, I guess what you would call outtakes. And they do have some longer versions from what I remember of, just the full version of them, like listening to like Wild Horses and I think some other songs and whatnot. Also them playing some stuff live, because for the documentary, they don't sometimes play the full song and but it is cool to see them like at Muscle Shoals in the studio listening to, hey, we just recorded Wild Horses. Let's listen to what it sounds like. Right. Like, that's just kind of badass. And I think Mick or somebody's just like, got a full bottle of like Wild Turkey or something. And I mean, it's just, it's really, really, really cool to get sort of that footage, because there's not too much footage that I know of around this era of the Stones actually in the studio doing. There's some stuff in that weird documentary by, I believe it's Godard, called Sympathy for the Devil, where it shows them kind of in the studio working out Sympathy. The the Stones
But
in
this is
Exile
after that.
documentary.
Yeah, then that skips.
Yeah, I'm just talking about in general, just seeing footage of the Stones like in the studio.
Dude, it's like in the Bible where all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, Jesus was born and he's a kid and now he's 30. Just kind of glossed over that whole part, you know?
Dude, his formative years. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, you flip over a table in the temple and then it's like people don't say shit for 20 years.
No. He turned water into wine.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, this is after, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a big deal, man.
Yeah. Anyways, dude, I did want to say a lot of what you were talking about with Gimme Shelter is a good thing to kind of bring up because they had you might say, a bit of a rough go up until now. They'd been on tour a lot. Keith had started a nice heroin habit for himself. You know, that dude got killed at Altamont. That really wasn't probably favorable.
Yeah, but there was a baby born, so it can't. I'm just kidding. That's not cool. Yeah.
Oh, at Altamont. Yeah.
I'm just saying, oh, well, it just evened out. No, it didn't.
Yeah.
No, but I think I think they said there was like 4 births there and like 1 death. I mean, anyways, yeah. Anyways, viewer discretion advised for the Gimme Shelter Altamont thing. But yeah.
Yeah, it is worth watching, but dude, the chaos is just so palpable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they had run-ins with the law. I mean, drug busts. Like, it hadn't been just like, you know, easy living, I guess, is maybe a good way to say it.
And you know, I'm not exactly saying I feel sorry for them because, you know, they chose the way they live. But regardless, there was a lot of stuff that they were coming out of. So I'm sure there was... for good reason, there was probably a lot of speculation that this was going to be a flop.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. You know, I never knew this because I just think of this album as like, oh, they went into the studio and they just recorded, you know, Sticky Fingers, right? But it didn't necessarily go like, what track was it? That like Sister Morphine that was cut during like the Let It Bleed sessions, and that was like a holdover. And then even you know, in what was it?
And Marianne Faithfull gets writing credits on that too.
Well, because she recorded a version of it. So she came out with a version of it actually
before they did.
Heard it before they did.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Now they altered some of the lyrics. I have not heard that version or compared the two. But that would be fairly
odds are I'd like the Stones one better.
Just yeah,
throwing darts at the wall there.
Yeah. But yeah, it seemed like, you know, this album, you know, they were doing sort of a collection of songs, and, you know, like the songs that they did at Muscle Shoals, like You Gotta Move, Brown Sugar, and Wild Horses. And then they kind of do some other songs that are, I guess you could say, a little different, but, you know, they're putting in the strings and the horns, maybe a little less bluesy than some. It's just it's an interesting collection of songs. And, you know, I'm glad Sister Morphine made it. It would be interesting. I don't know. I can't picture that. Obviously that song on Let It Bleed for some reason. And I think it's just one of those things. I mean, not to say that it couldn't go on there, but I just never, once I found that out, I was kind of surprised. I just felt like it just fit with these sessions, I guess. They had a couple that at least one holdover, right? Then they did the stuff at Muscle Shoals, and then I guess they came back to England, and a lot of it was done with they had some sessions in this house that Mick Jagger owned apparently, and I guess those sessions were so fruitful they actually laid down a lot of stuff that would end up on Exile on Main Street when they were doing that too. So I guess those were considered some pretty productive sessions. They had their mobile studio. They were utilizing that. Dude, I really would like to know what that consisted of. Like how many tracks and I know. Yeah. Well, did you want to talk about before we got into the tracks themselves? You want to talk about the cover a little bit? Yeah, have to. Yeah. Well, for those and I didn't even hold this up. Jeez. Oh my gosh. Okay. So for those people who haven't seen the cover, it is a picture of a man. Some people thought that this was Mick Jagger. but it was not, apparently. I guess Andy Warhol either photographed this or was there during the photograph session. And so actually they even had it where, the original version had an actual zipper on it. And I've seen at my used whatever record store or whatever, I've seen there's a version of it with the zipper on it. Have you seen that before?
Really? No. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it, but not for sale. I would probably bought it if I saw it.
Yeah, I probably should have. I didn't.
But I guess that would damage the vinyl when they would ship them, and they'd have them all. And so I had read as a fix, and this is great for someone who's may have been in quality work at some point, but they just unzipped the zipper a little bit so that it would line up with the middle of the record and it wouldn't screw it up. That's funny.
That's a good idea. It really
yeah.
is. But yeah, I think that, that is pretty cool that they kind of had that sort of packaging and that idea. But originally, what was it? You could zip it all the way down, and then behind the zipper were like
some
little
underwear.
underpants. And it was rubber stamped and like a gold name of Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
And below it said the photograph may not be, and then it just said ETC, I guess.
Yeah.
So, now Grim, there's also a few different versions of this. The Russian version is I want a copy of this. I mean, this just seems amazing.
The picture is interesting because it appears to be a woman's body.
Yes.
And not like I mean, well and good, but not like something where you're like, ooh, that's definitely. So it's a woman's body. The belt buckle has like the hammer and sickle on it. Like it's like a Russian military belt buckle on the jeans. You obviously don't see the clear outline of a wiener like you do with the other one. And then on the back, all the songs are just written in Russian. And, it's just her butt.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. But it's weird because I saw some pictures where they had them held up side by side.
Yeah.
That'd just be interesting to have that pressing of it.
Hell yeah, it would. Yeah. I mean, that would be cool, having multiple pressings because they're just all.
Oh, you want the Spanish really pressing too, where they had to have a completely. At least with the Russian one, which by the way did not get released there until 1992.
1992.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
So apparently there was some pretty heavy political controls in Spain too. But they had a different color altogether that looks more like the Black Keys Thick Freakness than
it does, right?
Yeah, than this album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing in the Spanish one.
Yep. I'm just gonna start collecting all the different versions of Sticky Fingers I can get my hands on, I think.
Dude, you should.
I mean, it's quite possibly my favorite Stones album. Jeez.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you know about how it did? I mean, there were varying degrees of I don't know if there's anything that regards
it's the first Stones album to reach number 1 in the US and the UK, so it sold very well.
Yeah.
I think the first Stones album to reach both number 1 in the US and in the UK. They had number 1 albums, but maybe not in each country. I mean, I think overall, it was regarded, pretty well critically. I mean, I'm sure some people thought it was not awesome, but there's always one in every crowd.
Well, it was interesting because one critic wrote that it basically just thinks the album's kind of half-assed, but he said that it succeeds on the strength of the songs such as Bitch and Dead Flowers. Now, although those are both awesome songs, did you miss Can't You Hear Me Knocking? Like, did that one just have a skip in the beginning and you just didn't play it? I mean, I just don't know how you can't hear that song and be like, dude, if I was if I was making like a huge playlist for somebody and you could only choose one song by a band, that may well be the Stones song I would choose.
Yeah, it's up there. Can You Hear Me Knocking? Sympathy, Give Me Shelter. Like it's
oh, dude,
we'll get to the song. Well, let's get into the songs. What do you say about that?
I guess.
Okay, fine. Track number 1, side 1. What?
I was just gonna say there was something we missed. First album that featured the lips and tongue logo.
Yes,
which is kind of interesting because that's just such an iconic thing for the Rolling Stones.
You know what? I gotta admit it. I've never liked that logo.
Oh, me neither. I think it's trashy.
Yeah, I do. I think there's something just weird. And yeah, I agree with you. But it is
not my thing. But it is. Yeah, it's synonymous with them.
Stones.
And one thing I like is that all the albums of theirs that I really like, because I guess wherever they use that logo in this record is not very obvious.
Yeah,
it may be on the vinyl itself, like on the.
So on my pressing that I have, it's just down here in the bottom corner.
Okay, so that's fine. Yeah. It's not like that was the hype sticker.
No, it's not like it's the whole cover of the album.
Yeah, which would be a terrible album cover choice. Oh, it's on the back of that.
It's on the back of this, but this may not. Who knows if the original pressing was like that?
Yeah, sure.
It's barely prominent on the.
Is that a fingerprint on there? Sticky fingers.
Probably. I don't know.
Oh, that little red thing on top looked like a fingerprint.
Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
No, that's the tongue. That's the tongue.
Oh, it is. Okay.
The lips. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, that's that.
Yeah.
That is that.
Well, yeah.
All right, Trim.
I guess we can get into the songs there, Pellerino.
We can. Track number 1, Grim, Brown Sugar. Probably, if someone's not a Stones fan, you still probably know this song because it's played on the radio 3 times a day, probably, right?
On classic rock radio still, yeah.
Yes.
But it, aside from all the play, it is still just it's a good song. Now its subject matter, it's super fucked up, but a good song.
So for me, this song, actually, I feel like, I know we were just talking about Can You Hear Me Knocking, and maybe that's the one song you would play. But I feel like this song is actually very representative just of the Stones, just kind of sound, overall sound, like through the years, going through even like their 80s stuff and everything. Like, I feel like this song just really encapsulates them.
I think that's a fair statement. Gritty guitars. You got a really good representation of Mick and Keith singing together with the brown sugar part. Mick's vocals are what you would expect. Dude, Bobby Keys.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, Bobby Keys Carson. Now, have you heard there is an alternative version, and do you know about the alternative version that they did?
I feel like I've heard this. Throw it at me.
So, during there was a birthday party for Keith Richards and Bobby Keys, actually, and they recorded another version which featured Al Cooper on piano and Eric Clapton on slide guitar.
Oh, I would like to hear that.
Yeah. Now, so one of the cool things about the Stones is they put out a lot of deluxe editions, super deluxe editions, all that stuff. So on, I believe it's either the deluxe or super deluxe edition, they do have that version of this song. So it is on all your streaming services. So you should be able to access that.
Yeah, I want to listen to that. I feel like I've heard that, but it's one of those things you could be like, oh, cool, an alternate version of this song. But then when they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, it features so-and-so and so-and-so doing this, it makes you, it piques your interest a little more.
Oh, it does. Yeah. It's not like just like a demo, right?
Yeah.
Where like half the lyrics aren't there and, it's missing a couple parts. Yeah. It's, so dude, track number 2, Sway, which is a B-side to Wild Horses.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, this actually has Mick Jagger playing rhythm guitar on this album, and that was his first electric performance on an album, apparently.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
That I did not know.
Also,
Now,
there
I
are
do
background
remember.
vocals that are. Did you hear that? Oh, good.
Well, no, it wasn't the background vocals bit, but I just remember seeing footage of him backstage in, I think, the Gimme Shelter documentary, and he's playing with Ike Turner. Him and Ike Turner are like trading licks back and forth, and like Mick sounds
Oh,
like he's
yeah.
holding his own playing blues. Yep.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I definitely need to watch Gimme Shelter again. That's for sure. Yeah. Well, I guess Mick Taylor kind of felt that he deserved writing credit on this song as well as some other songs, and that's one of the reasons that he left. So I guess he had definitely had a hand in writing this one, and but it is, I believe, credited to Jagger Richards on this.
Really?
Yeah.
That I did not know.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what his role was in this song, but he felt that whatever he put in, he deserved a little more credit than he got. But
You are kind of the new dude in the Rolling Stones. It's kind of like, dude,
yeah,
dude, Jason Newsted's bass was not in Injustice for All.
we're all.
He stuck it out and he was on the Black Album.
But dude, Pete Townsend was one of the guys that they're saying contributed background vocals in this song.
Really?
Which
That's cool. I did not know that.
Billy Nichols and Ronnie Lane, which maybe I should be familiar with them, but I'm not.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Not ringing a bell.
So track number 3, Wild Horses, and just kind of how we talked about them recording this at Muscle Shoals. Again, check it out. Great footage of them in the studio working on this song in the Gimme Shelter documentary. But yeah, Mick said that he didn't write this song about Marianne Faithfull because it was over by then. But some people have suggested that he did. But he also said that definitely, he's inside the piece emotionally. So I'm sure he had some close emotional ties to that situation while he was writing the song.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, it's well, this is one of the songs too that Abco does co-own. I believe it's this song, and gosh, I wanted to say Brown Sugar, but I could be wrong.
I was thinking it was Brown Sugar as well.
Was it okay? Yeah, this is one of those ones, and it's as far as like in the album goes, it's a great like slow ballad. It's just like kind of like the sad song. But also one thing with this album that I've noticed is a lot of songs kind of start off very slow and a little more simple, and then they really build up. And this is one of those songs to me. Now, one question, I'm curious, Grim, if you know anything about this. So it's said that Mick Taylor plays the acoustic guitar on this song, and he uses something called the Nashville tuning. Are you aware of the Nashville tuning?
No, I could not tell you what it is off the top of my head, but I'm aware of it as a recognized alternative tuning.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's probably an open, does it say if it's like an open G tuning?
It is
open G.
The E, A, D, and G strings are strung 1 octave higher than standard. That's what it says. So does that make sense to you?
Wait, what?
It says the E, A, D, and G strings are strung 1 octave higher than standard tuning.
Oh, wow. Okay, that is not what I would have thought. Interesting. Okay. Well, then I guess I don't know what I thought I knew about the Nashville tuning.
Well, you knew of it, so that's cool.
Well, and I know that there's a lot of songs where people have tried to figure out, and Can't You Hear Me Knocking, the next one may be a good example of this too, but Honky Tonk Women I know is another one where it's like people have figured out how to play these in standard tuning, but then Keith Richards will go out on stage and he'll just like play the G chord for Honky Tonk Women. and he doesn't have his hand on there because he has it tuned to like an open G. So he likes to mess around with open tunings and alternative stuff. And I think that's a lot of those. And I've always wondered if there's an alternative tuning used in the next song, Can't You Hear Me Knocking?
You Hear Me Knocking. Well, yeah, this is definitely my favorite track on the album.
No question.
And dude, once I started doing research on this song, I was just blown away that how the whole jam session was essentially just a happy accident, as they characterized it. That was like, I had no idea that was the case, because it sounds so polished to me.
Oh yeah, like, dude, it sounds
in the way
great.
Like the way they play it and how all the parts go together, and just to like go through all those, it's not just them just like jamming. Like there's Bobby Keys is on sax there, and they're just doing all these different things.
Billy
and
Preston
it's like, Billy Preston they're just having this little jam session.
Yeah. And
it goes on. It doesn't go on too long, and everybody kind of gets their little riff in and part, and then it just ends perfectly. I just blown away, man.
Oh, that must have been one where they played that and they're like, tell me you got that on tape. Like as soon as they finished.
Yeah.
Because there's always that moment when you stop playing and you're like, okay, you can't talk until that cymbal's all the way dead, so that if this is the take, you're not going to screw it up.
Exactly. But dude, that opening guitar riff, I mean, it just grabs you.
Yeah.
It is just so nasty. And then Mick comes in, he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like just way in the background, you can hear him in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, it's been used I think if people they think they're not familiar with this song, I think if they hear it, you'll be like, wow, I've heard that intro before, because it's been used in a lot of movies and shows.
Blow,
most notably
real big in Blow.
Blow, Casino.
Oh yeah. Oh, Casino too.
Casino.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude, they play like the majority of the song during this big montage scene with voiceover where Joe Pesci is basically becoming like this big, he decides to move to Vegas and kind of, basically take it over, and he's just committing all these crimes and messing people up and everything. So definitely, man, check that out if you guys haven't seen it, or I'm sure you've seen some show or movie where you've heard this song. So.
Yeah.
Last song on side one, You Gotta Move.
Yeah, I don't know this gentleman called Gary Davis very well, but Fred McDowell, otherwise known as Mississippi Fred McDowell, is who I would have imagined was the original author who penned this.
Yeah, I can't say I know
man.
either, but it sounds like it is, a blues sort of also gospel song. I think they said many gospel musicians have covered it. So
that could be Gary
sounds like
Davis,
it's just it sounds like it's just one of those songs it has kind of been around.
And they like to do that, dude. They've covered Robert Johnson by this time. Like I like that they kind of do that with the blues standards.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that I really like about it, dude, I like the way Mick sings it. He sings it with this real just kind of Southern drawl, right?
Well, and he's done that in a couple other spots. Yeah. And I've always, and does it again. We'll talk about in Dead Flowers too, pretty well.
Yeah. He does. Well, then we flip it, Graham. Side 2.
Oh, and what a great way to come in with Biatch.
Dude, it is, right? I mean, they freaking nailed this. It's just a kick-ass way to start side 2. Got some really nasty riffs. Also really utilizing the horns here in this song. And not just... I can't remember if in any of the previous songs on this album so far, if we've really heard horns, but in this song, they're very, very prominent.
Heard them in Brown Sugar, man.
Okay, yeah, I guess Brown Sugar.
Yeah. And Can't You Hear Me Knocking? But yeah, they're right up in front.
Yeah, they're right up there. And it's cool because I just feel like the way they're played in this song to me is such a precursor to what they're going to do on the next album, which is Exile on Main Street.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So, that's what I got on this song.
Dude, I got the blues.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say actually with Bitch, sort of the story with it was Mick Taylor and Mick Jagger. They were kind of like working on the song, and Keith was late to the studio, I guess. And he heard them kind of working on it, and it just didn't sound very good. And so he asked Andy Johns, who I guess was the sound engineer. He's like, hand me my guitar, right? And then so all of a sudden he just sped up the tempo and with the electric guitar and just like that. It's like he just heard it and boom. I was like, okay, well, we're gonna do it like this now.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. But yes, I got the blues, Grim. I got the blues.
Ballad. Kind of a blues ballad, right?
I agree. I mean, it's kind of like this side's almost in a way Wild Horses, right? I mean,
yeah. Now, one thing I do have to say is dude, Billy Preston's organ solo in it is pretty sweet.
Dude, it steals the show, man. It just does.
Absolutely.
Like, it is the biggest. Yeah, it just stands out.
Now, what an awesome couple of years for that dude, because I mean, you know, you just kind of just happened to be a pretty big part of the Beatles' final public performance and the Let It Be album, and then you just, you know, go play with the Stones for a while, and dude, not a bad gig, man. Building that resume.
Dude, he nailed it. And he is, I mean, and here's the thing though. It's not like he was just there and he's just kind of like filling in, or, you know, like there was, you know, he's putting some parts in the background. Like his parts are prominent.
Oh, if it wasn't in the song, it wouldn't be on the album.
Right. Yeah. It's not like, oh, cool, thanks for coming. We could have gotten anybody, but we decided to go with you. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like he crushes it.
Oh, absolutely.
He's like, I'm sorry. Did someone say my name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So now we go Sister Morphine. And yeah, like you were saying, Marianne Faithfull got partial writing credit. Which, I mean, here's the thing. Her and Mick were dating, right? Like they were together. So I imagine they you know, they were together, had some writing sessions, could have worked something out.
Yeah, dude, it was probably like that, you know, the one chick on the Bob Marley documentary is just so casually, oh yeah, when we were writing I Shot the Sheriff.
I Shot the Sheriff.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, you were probably just showing him all the chord changes too while you were at it.
Bob was probably like, okay, so what do you think we should do here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, I get that you were banging him, but like, dude, give me a break. Like, let's not ask for writing credits and royalties on the song just yet.
Dude, she probably did.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so the Stones version does have some different lyrics. I have not heard her version. I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah,
now.
I do too.
You know,
covers Face Off. It's back.
Covers Face Off. Yes. Back. But again, this is one of those songs. It does start off slow, and then it kind of slowly kind of builds up and fills out, I guess, you know, because I mean, it just really it begins just with that acoustic kind of coming in sort of sharply.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting. The way it comes in does have that kind of feel.
Now, one thing I do have to say is, to me, as a standout, is Ry Cooder's slide playing on this song.
Dude, yes. Yes.
As the song builds, that is an integral part of that build.
It sounds so different, very unlike I think a lot of slides that I've heard in songs. So I don't know.
And there could be a lot to that depending on what type of guitar he's using, what type of slide. I mean, there's a lot of variables there, and I'm by no means an expert enough in exclusively playing slide to tell you.
Yeah. To me, it kind of has this, and I think it fits the song, sort of like an uneasy feeling to it. There's something weird about it that sounds, I don't want to say off, but it makes it feel almost a little uncomfortable.
Uneasy is a good word, yeah.
Well, when you start looking at the lyrics and what it's about, too, I mean, does seem to be some sort of a story where like someone's in the hospital, obviously they're in pain, and, you know, talking about, I mean, Sister Morphine wanting to get, now
I wonder if it's that, or if it's like withdrawals, because that's usually what
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Just because of the way he says, "Tell me, please, Sister Morphine, I'm trying to score."
I'm trying to
that's
score.
That's
right.
the part that makes me think of that.
Yeah, but then there's times where he's talking about gosh, what is it at the end? Like I see red or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he sees blood and
he's
like, oh, I'm not going to survive tomorrow. And then you got Sweet Cousin Cocaine, which is just a phenomenal line.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Sweet Cousin Cocaine. Yeah. Lay your cool hand on my head. That's pretty badass.
I know.
Dead Flowers.
I like it when they try to do country.
Yeah.
Because most people
fun,
would not do
one.
the accent.
Yeah. He does this American country accent.
And it's really funny.
Freaking hilarious. It is really hilarious. Because it's one of those things where we've always said sort of throughout when we listen to the Beatles and the Stones a lot of times, we're like, we feel like they lose their English accent.
Yeah.
In a lot of the songs. But this one, you can tell that he is obviously trying to sing in like an American country accent, almost like poking a little, this little jab, right? Poking fun at it too.
Now, someone had described this album as the Stones' most druggy album. And at first I was thinking, I don't know about that, but I do kind of get it because Can't You Hear Me Knocking makes references to cocaine.
Sure.
Sister Morphine, and then Dead Flowers. There's that line where he says, "I'll be in my basement room with a needle and a spoon."
Yeah. Making bets on Kentucky Derby or whatever. Yeah.
That's pretty blatant.
It's great. Well, and one thing that I've really loved is one of our favorite movies, The Big Lebowski. A cover of this song is used like right at the end, at the ending credit scene, where Donnie's passed away and they're sitting at the bar, and Sam Elliott.
It's slower though, right?
Piece.
A little slower.
It is. It's much slower. I think it might even be a live version cover of it. And it's by someone named, they're saying Townes Van Zandt.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that dude.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be. I'd actually like to know more about him. He's supposed to be quite a character.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't say I do know much about him, but I just think this is a beautiful song. It's one of my favorites. I really like it a lot. We wrap up the album, Grim.
Moonlight Mile. Now on Moonlight Mile, the only person
drug reference, Head Full of Snow.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a great point.
But sorry, continue.
Speaking of that, this is the only guitar on this is Mr. Mick Jagger. Keith Richards was too doped out, I guess. Yeah, and he played acoustic on this one. And I think this is the only spot where the strings are, right? Isn't there strings in this one?
There are strings
at the end.
Yes, big strings. Yeah, well,
huge strings.
Maybe. Yeah, and maybe Jagger played the part. I did read though that Mick Taylor took a guitar piece from Keith Richards and it was called Japanese Thing and reworked it. Now maybe Jagger's the one who actually played it and put it on the album.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I think Mick Taylor did play on this song, but he played the electric part. I think it was Mick that just played that acoustic riff. Part.
Yeah, Jagger. Yes, that's what they say. Yeah, Jagger plays the prominent acoustic riff. He did say though, like there is that line with a head full of snow that it was. Jagger did say it was like not really about drugs, and he basically what he said was it was the feeling I had that the at the moment that how difficult it was to be touring, and he wasn't looking forward to going on the road and doing it again. And it was kind of like a lonely thing, and his lyrics kind of reflected that. So, and he does say just another mad day on the road.
Yeah.
I'm just living to be by your side. So it is kind of like, hey, I'm on the road. I can't be with you. That's what I want. I want to be doing.
Yeah.
But again, this is one of those songs that starts off slow and then really builds up again. And I just think, dude, the orchestration of this song is great. I love the strings come in, and even like that electric guitar strumming. And I'm sure that's what Mick Taylor plays. It's not like this amazing part, when that comes in, but it just adds another layer. Element to it. Yeah. That it just sounds really great. So. All right, Grim, time to scratch a track.
One thing real quick that's interesting, Bill Wyman gets credit for playing electric piano.
Ooh, does he?
On You Gotta Move.
Gotta move.
I guess I never listened for that. And then for bass guitar, it says all but 5. So instead of playing bass, he played electric piano on it. I don't know. Interesting. I'll have to listen for that.
Yeah. All right, Grim, what you got for me? This is a tough one, man. Tough one.
Scratching?
Yeah.
Scratching.
Use your sticky finger to scratch. Fucking moment of silence over here.
Dude, for this small chronic break, I know. I'm going to have to go with I Got the Blues.
Okay.
And reason being,
even with Billy's Hammond solo.
Dude, Billy's Hammond solo is sick. But I just, aside from that, it's just sort of like, kind of a formulaic sort of like soul song. And the other ones that would have been in that, Wild Horses is too classic. And I love the way that they do You Gotta Move There. It's just, there's something about it where like I couldn't get rid of that. Yeah. But I Got the Blues is just kind of a slow point for me.
Sure.
But the Hammond solo is capital D disgusting.
Yep. Well, we're not going to overtime. I'm actually going to ruffle some feathers here, and I know it's a classic, but the flip side of that, and go with Wild Horses.
Oh, yeah, I could. Okay.
It's a good song. I like it, but when I listen to this album, I skip that song. I just do. I've heard it.
Well, and times. that doesn't help either, because I hate to say it, but
yeah.
With a lot of these songs, I mean, dude, classic rock radio destroyed a lot of great songs.
Brown Sugar. I mean, definitely Brown Sugar. It did. It did.
A lot of stuff for Zepp. I mean, just all those bands. Like, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. So, well, everyone, let us know what track you would scratch off this album. We know it's a classic. We know it's amazing, but there's always one. Even if you don't want to, you got to pick one. So, also let us know what your favorite track is. You should probably start with Can You Hear Me Knocking, and then just list your favorite track.
Like, subscribe, and comment below.
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
Yeah, I'm right. Thank you.
No, I wasn't saying that even just for you to feel reaffirmed, because you don't need to. You know you are.
Oh,
in that, yeah. So
it just is.
Yeah,
it has been said, so it has been written. All right. Well, I think that about does it here. Sticky Fingers is a
scratched with a zipper, just like the real version had
this is of the album. Yes. All right. Well, until next time, I think it's time to go.
Scratch a Track is produced by the Dude and Grim. Additional music provided by More. That's ... MORE and the Tims TIMNZ. Copyright 2022. The Dude and Grim Show.